morning, everyone. So, yeah, it's nasty here in Atlanta, FYI. Sarah, are you back in Atlanta?
Yeah, it just is like pouring down rain here.
Yeah, I swear it's been like Seattle. It's been like seriously raining like every day for days, and I'm tired of it. Anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. I'm here with the beautiful Sarah, and Sarah is client of mine, and we've been working together for some time. And I wanted to bring Sarah on because she has had such an incredible, in my opinion, transformation. And I think it's very inspiring. And I want people to see it, to be able to be a part of it, to be inspired by her because she's incredible. So, Sarah, tell them a little bit about where you were at when we first met.
Sure. So me and Rachel met in the midst of the pandemic, um, where I was kind of lost and just had no idea what I wanted to do with my career and had a lot of anxiety my whole life, but felt particularly anxious during that time and kind of just needed, I think, some guiding light. Um, And yeah, I felt like I needed someone to help me give me the tools to figure out, how to be less anxious day to day, understand that anxiety is a part of who I am and accept that and be
Mm.
friends with my anxiety. And also just help me figure out the path that, or help me help myself figure out the path I needed
Ooh, I'm
to.
so glad you said that because that is like our job, right? Not to tell you what to do, but for to help us show you that you actually have all that wisdom from
Yes,
within. So
exactly.
that's where you were. And tell them where you are right now. What's
Well,
happening in your beautiful, amazing life?
well, first of all, I am in grad school and doing exactly what I would wanted to do, but I think was a little afraid to like make the jump to do it. And I'm absolutely loving it. And just also have my anxiety has become so much more manageable. I literally used to wake up every day feeling anxious, and usually I didn't even know what I was feeling anxious about. And now I feel like I barely wake up feeling that way ever. And I'm just,
Oh, God.
and really have learned how to like handle my anxiety and also just like speak to myself in healthier ways, and understand that a lot of times my anxiety is coming from the way that I'm thinking about certain things, so trying to change my mindset about that. And I'm happy to say that I feel 200% times better than I did when I first met Rachel.
And Sarah, what do you think if there's like one tool or one thing that has like stood out or maybe helped you the most? What would you say it's been?
Gosh, there's a lot. I think one of the things that I practiced a lot that I think has been really helpful for me is to write down 5 things that I feel like really great about every single day. And also, when I do feel anxious, to like write down, okay, this is why I'm feeling anxious. What can I do? How is my mind making me feel this way? And what can I do to move past this? Um, and I think those things have been really helpful for me.
Ooh, I
Um,
love that. So, like some self coaching, basically.
yes. And, other things I was feeling anxious about, just looking at myself in the mirror and literally saying out loud, like, you've got this, you can do this, you're doing it. And that's been really helpful.
I'm so glad you just said that because we were talking about in the group, in my group the other day, about how to really be more kind and loving to yourself. And really, a huge piece of it is that looking in the mirror
Mm.
and literally being your friend to yourself, not being the asshole to yourself that most of us tend to be. So, Sarah, when you were thinking of, signing up with me, getting started, what was like the biggest fear you had to overcome? Do you even remember?
I think just like I feel like in the past when I've spoken to people for help with my anxiety, I'm nervous about like the different basically I think my biggest fear was that I couldn't do it.
Mhm.
And I think, sometimes I felt like overwhelmed by like I guess tools that people have given me and felt like, okay, well, this just isn't doable and I'm not going to do it. So I'm just going to have to live with this. But I really never felt that way with you. And I felt like everything that taught me to do and that I taught myself along the way was really like manageable within my everyday life. And it took like 3 minutes, 5 minutes in the morning or throughout the day. And just realized that like there's no excuse and you always need to make time for yourself and to like make yourself feel good and you enjoy everything else when you're feeling better. So,
Oh, so good, right? That it doesn't, I think it's true. I think sometimes, and I'm guilty too, right? Like we make things more complicated than they need to be. Or we have this story about how it has to be this big, long, drawn out process. And I'm so glad you said that, Sarah. Like literally, it can take 3 minutes. Like it
yeah.
really, and it's more about like the what you're doing, the quality of those 3 minutes. It's kind of like a workout, right? Like you can go work out at the gym for 2 hours, or you could honestly, most people could probably go for 20 minutes and get in what they got in the 2 hours if they just are focused. They do it with good intention and good, like intensity, I guess. And it's
Yeah.
really the same with this is like you don't have to take hours. It can literally take 3 to 5 minutes. And our brains want to make it into this big, huge, extravagant thing. And yeah. Yeah, I love that you said that. It really is just like 3 minutes. Um, and what would you say, like, what has surprised you the most along the way?
I guess just like seeing that it really does work when you work on yourself. I guess I was always skeptical of like, I'm just always going to be this way. And like, it's just, part of who I am, which it is a part of who I am. But I, I have like not only seen the progress in myself, but I've seen it through my relationships. I've seen it through my work. I've seen it through just like my overall like energy that I have day to day. And I think that is kind of like that was really surprising to me. Like I'm still getting used to feeling great all the time.
I love that you said that. Like, I mean, there's days where I'm like, pinch me. Is this really
Exactly.
like my life? Like, and I hate to have that mentality sometimes, but it just is the truth. When you lived in a different world for a long time, it's sometimes,
Yeah, and I think we spoke about this recently where like I always, you know, jokingly kind of introduced myself as I'm really an anxious person.
Mhm.
And now I kind of feel like, well, I know that I have anxiety sometimes, but I'm not defining myself as an anxious
Oh,
person.
so wait a minute. You've changed your like self, what we call in the coaching world, your self concept, like how you see yourself.
Yeah.
Ah,
And
so
like
good.
I'm a happy person. I mean, I was a happy person before, but I really feel like that doesn't define my identity anymore.
Yeah, so good. I was talking about that with one of my coaches the other day about how like it's like we were talking about how like though sometimes your new self concept has 100% caught up with you. And I don't know if you've experienced that. Like I know I experience that sometimes where it's like I remember when I lost like 50 pounds, how I would look in the mirror for a pretty long time and I still saw a fairly like a much larger version of me, even though it wasn't really the fact. It's like I hadn't caught up with it. And I know that even now, sometimes, like with my business, like the level of success I have been able to create for myself, it's like seeing myself in that light. And I'm curious if like you have those days too where you're like, it's not, it's there, it's there, you can see it, but it's like, it's still kind of catching up with
To-
you.
Totally, yes. I totally have those days. I'm like, wait a minute, is this real?
Yeah.
But it's like that's never I've as long as I can remember, I've always like used that as a way to define myself. And this is the first time in my life at almost, 30 years old that I'm not using that to define myself. And it's really like taking a huge weight off of my shoulders.
Yeah, I still love that for you. And honestly, I love 30 years old, Sarah. Like, I only wish at 30 years old I
Uh,
could have said that. Like, now at, that's okay, I can be proud of my age. It's like I can say it now, but I just think it's such a gift. It's such a gift for your future children, which, me and you both know is going to happen, and your future grandchildren, like just the generations to come. It really is. I think it's like we get to actually be a part of changing like generational ancestral history. Like, I mean, I come from a family too of like anxiety masters, if that's what we want to
yeah,
call it. And I can already see it in my kids that they don't have the level I have. And I do believe, like you said, like you working on you affects your relationships. So it like passes down. It's so cool.
it is. It
Love that.
is. Yeah.
So, Sarah, like one of my questions was going to actually be what like tangible or intangible results, but you kind of answered it already. Is there anything else you'd want to add to that? Like how, like, is there anything that you can say in addition to what you already said about like tangible, intangible things that have shifted?
I just think that like generally, and I guess this is also something I never thought I would believe, but like when I worked on myself and like did things to help with my anxiety, I saw myself like both physically and mentally like a more beautiful and happier
Mm.
person. And I
Wait,
think
wait,
like
wait. Pause for a moment. What is the value of being able to look in the mirror and to see the truth? I'm going to say the beautiful person you are. Like, can you put a number on that?
infinite
Right. Like,
value.
there's no number, right? It's like fucking ridiculous to even think about the value of that.
Yeah, and I just noticed that when I was more anxious that I was like, not treating myself as nicely like to my body, to my mind, and when I'm not anxious, I am so much nicer to myself. I'm happy in the body that I've been given.
Right.
I'm really, I don't go down those like horrible downward spirals of self-hate.
Okay, that's just, I mean, in my opinion, priceless. I don't know. I know for me it has been. I can't even. Sometimes I even like try to go back to like not that I want to go back to it, but like try to remember just so I can remember how far I've
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
And if someone right now is listening and they're like, okay, I want to experience more of that, what would be your suggestion or your advice to them?
Ugh, gosh. First of all, I've been there, so I totally feel you. And yeah, I guess just like really keep working to like better yourself and really like just write down things every day that you do love about yourself. I think that's like really helpful, like even if it's as simple as like I think my teeth are nice, or I think
Mhm.
I made someone laugh today, or, whatever it may be. I just think that for me really helped build that self confidence that I felt like I was really lacking. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely takes a lot of work and it's not going to happen overnight, but like it's so worth it at the end.
Ah, I
So,
love that. Right. Just stay committed to it. Be
Yeah.
more committed to your desire than your comfort. Because really, it is actually easier, ironically, to stay in your anxiety, to live in it for a lot of people. And I know that sounds kind of fucked up, right? Like, oh,
That sounds
damn,
loud.
that was a really loud thunder. My poor dog is like, oh, what's going on? She's probably gonna come sit next to me in a second. But yeah, it's like it seems like that wouldn't be easier, but the brain is actually designed to stay the same. That's the easiest. It wants the easiest path. And if you're been anxious, if you've been practicing that for a while or whatever it is you've been practicing, it's going to actually be easier to stay the same as much as that's uncomfortable and it feels awful. But it's like be more committed to what's possible and to
Yeah.
where you could be your desire than that. Because it's work. It's not
Yeah.
easy.
And I know it sounds like really cliche but I mean, manifest it. I think that it's all about manifest.
Amen, sister.
But yeah, I totally believe if you believe in it, it will, happen.
I always say it's more than just sitting around and believing in it, though. You have to believe in it and then put in the work
And
towards it.
yes.
I think
Take
it's one of the biggest misconceptions about manifestation is that, oh, I can just sit back and visualize it.
yeah.
No, okay, it's not that. It's not, no.
You believe it and then you do the work to achieve it.
Bingo, bingo, bingo.
Yeah,
Oh, Sarah, thank you so much for being willing to share kind of your journey, your story. You know, all of that. I know it can feel really vulnerable at times. So I really am so grateful. I am so grateful to have been part of it. And yeah, I
me-
want, I didn't even ask you this in advance, but I think you'll be okay with it. But if someone right now is kind of in that boat and struggling, and obviously you're on this with me right now, can they reach out to you?
yes, of course.
Okay. Yes, I want them to know that there are people that, of course, you can reach out to me, but I want you to know there's other people too. Maybe they're in their 30s, right? And they're younger, they're in their 20s, and they're just like, no, I want someone like, and I want them to know that they can reach out and they can have someone to connect with, to chat with, who has maybe been on this journey too.
Totally. And I mean, I wish that I had more people that I could have reached out to, but now I'm in a great place. So I'm happy to, you know, help and talk to anyone and be a support to anyone who's needing it.
Ah, I love it. Sarah, thank you so, so much. Everyone, let Sarah be a little piece of inspiration for you today. I'm really praying that I'm not about to lose my electricity. I live in a bit of an older home. Anyways, everyone, have a wonderful Thursday, and we will see you soon.
Have a good day.